first guest session. Sorry about that. All right, while we are waiting other members to join this call, so we'll just start. I'm trying to admit some persons on the call. All right.
Hi, Hadiza, don't worry. I'll take care of the admitting people. You can just go on, please.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone, once again, and welcome to this call. As we all know, this is Girl Up Nigeria's International Women's Day Mentorship Program. At Girl Up Nigeria, I'm just going to give a summary of what we do. We unite women and girls together so as to take sustainable action starting from their communities, starting one step at a time. So that was why we came up with a mentorship program, because we believe in mentorship a lot. We believe that young women like us would ride on the shoulders of giants who have gone before them so as to gain the requisite knowledge and experience. Hence why we've come up with this program. And we have top industry players who are going to be mentoring young women, 12 young women from across different sectors of the society. So that is why we are having this mentorship program. And today, during the course of the mentorship program, we have our mentors, Ms. Karima Todebode, Dr. Cassandra Kinde, Dr. Yemi Adeyemi. We have Ms. Taibat Hussein. We have Mr. Charles Folajiki. And then we have Ms. Choma Agwego. So those are our mentors, and our mentees are also on this call. And then we're having this guest session to also learn from other top industry players for our mentees particularly to have an interactive segment during the course of our mentorship program. And that's why having this session today. So I'm going to be handing over to our founder and president of Girl Up Nigeria, Ms. Baliki Salaudin, to introduce our guest. And then for our mentees, if you have questions, if you have any comments, you can just put them in the chat box so that we'll address them properly when our guest speaker is done. So I'll hand over to Ms. Balikis from here.
Thank you so much, Azizat. Good afternoon once again, everyone. As Azizat said, I'm Balikis, and I'm super delighted to welcome every one of you to this first exclusive, I call it exclusive session with top players in different sectors that we have and that our mentees are passionate about, and also our mentors working in line with. Today we have Mrs. Sade Olabi. She's such a passionate mentor. She has mentored several young people in different fields and inspire them to be more and for them to also lead change in their communities. We saw that Mrs. Sade is someone that would have so much value to our mentors and our mentees. That is why we have invited her to be our first guest speaker for the exclusive session with the mentors and the mentees. I would like to hand over to Mrs. Sade Olabi now to give us an overview of how our journey has been in the social development space and our work at USAID. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am. So while Mrs. Sade is trying to connect, I'd like to recognize Mr. Olawale Samuel for taking our time to be a part of this conversation, and I call him one of the strongest he for she that we have on the call in the society today. I don't know if Mr. Olawale would want to say one or two things.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hi, Mr. Olawale, we can hear you.
Yeah, good. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wale Samuel. I work with Ms. Sade Owolabi in USAID. I would say that we're privileged to have her. And I was also privileged to serve as a bridge to have her on. She is a diplomat, an American Nigerian, and she would be in a better position to kind of introduce herself, but just to let you know also that And she is our lead when you talk about democracy, peace, and governance. So she comes with a wealth of experience in this regard. So I may not be spending so much time, but I had to just hear Sade herself speak for a limited period before I hang up. So hoping that she's able to connect, and then we have her on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. Thank you. I appreciate your effort. So the mic is over to you, Ma, Mr. Sade Olabi. Hi, Mr. Sade, can you hear us? So I'm guessing that she's trying to join the call. She's on the call, but I'm guessing that she's having some technical issues from our end. Hi, Mrs. Sade, can you hear us? No, we can hear you. We still can't hear you. We can hear you, Ma. We can't hear you. Okay, so while we get Mrs. Sade.
I think you can fill in. Let's have some
Yes.
filling while she tries to connect.
Yes. So while we have Mrs. Sade try to sort out the technical issue from the other side, can we have some of the mentees share their experience so far with their mentors? Can we have Sarah Akojeno? Sarah, are you on this call? Sarah, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Yes, please share your experience. I mean, it's been 1 week that you guys started your mentorship program. So how has it been?
Okay. First of all, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I am Sarah Kojenu, and my mentor is Mr. Charles. So so far we've had 2 meetings. Okay, the second one was early this morning around 9, and it has been awesome. So the first meeting, we got to know each other, and he gave us some assignments that we should go do some SWOT analysis about ourselves, and what we hope, the people we are looking up to in our career, and also platforms we can join to get opportunities that would further help us in our career. So we did that, and today's meeting was basically on the assignment. So we spoke on, myself and Zainab, we spoke on our SWOT analysis assignment. And so there was a, okay, where I noticed that some places she was having weaknesses in, I was having strengths in those parts. So we he told us to talk about how, okay, mine was in networking and communication. I'm very good at that. Then Zainab was poor. She's poor at it. She's not good at it at all. So I then I told her how I do it, how I'm trying make friends in any events I get to, how I try to make myself seen. Then I'm bad at creativity, creating new ideas. So, and she's so good at that. So she told me how she goes about her own. Then it was an interactive session where we all discussed, and we looked forward to having a nice time again. So as all in all, it has been a wonderful experience from my side, and Mr. Charles has been really understanding, and today he sacrificed his time literally for I and Zainab, and the session was supposed to end in 1 hour, but we ended up spending 1.5 hours because of how informative the session was. So it has been awesome all through, and I thank Girl Up Nigeria for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I mean, that's the beauty. We did not just selected you guys, the 12 of you. We had pools of applicants, but then we understand that we can't take everyone, and we just only hoping that the selected few would make judicious use of the opportunity. So yeah, I'm glad to get your feedback. I've been seeing you guys' feedback on the WhatsApp group, and it's really encouraging, and it's also driving us to deal ahead of next year. Last year we had 10 mentees and we had 5 mentors, but this year we expanded to 6 mentors, including a male gender, and then we had we're having 12 of you now, so it's good. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing. So Ololade, are you on the call? Mrs. Sade, please let us know when you're ready to speak, so that
yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
yes, we can hear you.
All right, I'm so sorry about that. I am not in my regular office, and the connection just kept dropping. So I have tried to go with a different connection, and I think this is much better.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sade. So earlier I was asking, I introduced you according to the profile you gave us, and Mr. Olawale also spoke highly of you. So I'd like you to give us a rundown of your journey in the social development space, your work with USAID, and it's International Women's Day moment. We would like you to inspire our mentors and mentees on this call with your story and your journey. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really, really sorry that the connection didn't work properly at the beginning, but I'm delighted to be joining all of you. Thank you again, Girl Up Nigeria, for the invitation. Thank you to my colleague Wale for the introduction. And thank you to all the mentors and mentees who have taken time out of your schedules, of your lives, really, to join this afternoon and listen to what I have to say. I think for me, in terms of sharing my journey, sharing how I got to be where I am, and I'm sorry again that I missed the beginning in terms of the introduction. So I work in my day job working with the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. And in terms of my journey, my story of how I got to work for USAID, which in many ways is a dream job, which in many ways is something that is fulfilling. It's something that I am really proud of the work that I do. I feel that I make a difference. So how did I get here? What is my life story? I'll give you the short version since we don't have too long. But just before I start, I think it would be good for me to get a sense of who is in the room, so to speak. So I don't know who the best person to maybe just to give a quick, I don't think we have time for each person to speak, but maybe
so
for
I'll
Girl
just,
Up.
Yeah, I'll just do a run through. So we have Elizabeth on the call. Elizabeth is our communications officer at Gallup Nigeria. We have Azizat on the call. She's the deputy communications officer and also our campus ambassador program officer. We have Nana on the call, one of our mentees. We have Odun Ayola. She's the Southwest community engagement officer for Gallup Nigeria. We have Mr. Wale, of course. We have Ololade. She's one of the mentees. We have Precious, one of the mentees. Sarah, one of the mentees, and Uche, one of the mentees. Yeah, currently those are the people on the call.
Thank you. So in terms of the mentees, is it what level? Is it university age?
Yeah, so their age range is between 20 to 26. Yes.
Okay. All right. That just gives me a good sense of who I'm talking to and how I should structure what I wanted to share. So yeah, so in terms of my story, how did I get to the job that I'm doing now? How did I get to USAID? And I think maybe I'll start with what I do now. So what I do now is work for a development agency. So what does that mean? It means we manage activities where we are providing money to support Nigeria in a number of different ways. So USAID, that's the United States Agency for International Development. We have different sectors that we work in. So we have projects that work in agriculture. We have some that work in education. We have some that work in health. We have some that do, and in health, we work in looking at malaria. We work in addressing HIV/AIDS. We work in addressing tuberculosis. We work in addressing nutrition. And then we have work that covers the power sector, the agriculture sector, economic growth sector. And then my office does democracy and governance. And we work on supporting planning for elections, particularly as the national elections come up next year. We work on civil society, so supporting organizations. We work on conflict mitigation, so working around the country with different local, state governments to mitigate conflict around the country. And then we work with the states, some of the states around Nigeria, to improve the financial management of the state budget. So how did I get to being in a position where I'm managing activities that cover all those things? And what do we mean by managing activities? We provide money to organizations who then work with different partners on the ground. So whether it's with the local community members, whether it's with organizations such as Girl Up, whether it's with the state government, the federal government, and with the federal government, we basically work together with them to achieve a certain goal. So the goal might be to have elections that are more credible. The goal might be to have local organizations such as Girl Up that are more, that know how to really do advocacy on different issues well. The goal might be to help improve healthcare in Nigeria. The goal might be to help provide bed nets to people that we can try to curb the spread of malaria. So there are different goals, or like in my colleague, Wale Samuel's office, they really work on education and working to make sure that children in year 1, 2, and 3 in the primary school can read proficiently at their level. So how did I get to a place where I am managing activities, managing the designing activities, and then managing the office where we're actually giving money to these different organizations to do the work and working with the government? For me, it started out as when I was in many of your in the same category where you are at now, from college, or even, let me even start from high school, thinking, okay, what do I want to do? What is a career path that I want to go on? I don't know for many of you, but for me, I don't think I had really thought about it. Came time to pick what I wanted to do in university, I wasn't really sure. So how did I pick? I picked basically on what kind of subjects am I good in? I was good in math. I was good in technical drawing. I don't know if they still have the subject technical drawing these days, but I was good in math. I was good in technical drawing. I didn't like history. I didn't like chemistry. I liked physics. I liked biology, okay? So I was in the sciences. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to take my 2 best subjects, technical drawing and mathematics, and I'm going to pursue architecture. I loved houses. I loved design. I loved looking at the architecture of different places and buildings. I loved bridges. I loved anything construction. So I said, okay, I'm going to pursue architecture in university. So when it came time for me to go to university, I was putting my application together, and I was sort of discouraged by sort of, mentors, older people, and I wouldn't even say really mentors. I'm not sure I really had mentors at that time, aside from my parents, but family members who said, no, architecture, don't go into architecture. It's going to be difficult for you. You're a Black woman. You are going to find it difficult to really get the apprenticeship that you need. And so they really just, a lot of things, they really just discouraged me from doing architecture and really encouraged me instead to do engineering. They thought it would be more profitable and more suited for me. So I didn't know any difference. I said, okay. So I applied to university and I ended up studying civil engineering for my undergraduate. But as I finished my degree and began to, I worked at an organization where we did a lot of civil engineering software. And so we worked with the clients who use that software and we helped them to sort of use the software properly. After a while, I wasn't really feeling that I really wanted to continue working in engineering. So I said, you know what? I really want to pursue not sort of the construction of the building or the construction of the bridge, but I really wanted to really look at how people use the infrastructure. How do people use the roads? How do people use the bridges and the buildings? How do they interact with the space around them? So I went and I applied, and a good friend of mine, a mentor in many ways, led me to the field of urban planning. I don't know how many people are familiar with the field of urban planning, but I ended up studying that. I
I know
really
about
loved it.
urban and regional planning. I've heard it.
Exactly. So I ended up studying urban and regional planning. I ended up focusing on transportation and also just looking at some housing issues around transportation. So how do we make sure that people are living within distances where there's transportation available, living within areas where it's commuter friendly. And in many ways, Nigeria and at least the urban areas in Nigeria are usually commuter friendly in the sense that you don't have to go too far to find a mode of transportation, whether it's an Okada rider or driver, whether it's a bus or whatnot. You can easily jump into a transport vehicle versus maybe when you're living overseas and there are designated stops for where the bus will pick you up. And so you might have to walk, 15, 20 minutes before you get there. So for me, it was a dream come true. So I loved urban and regional planning. So I studied that. And then I came to it, and then I was working with that. I loved my job. I worked at a roofing company where I got to use a lot of that work in terms of helping them plan. Then I worked at I was a consultant at a company that did transportation work. We helped to design roads and to design the traffic that is going through the highways. How do you sort of work with the traffic lights? How do you work with the different the public works, if you would, that help design the road, help make sure that there's enough drainage on the road, help make sure that there's no traffic, help make sure that you're planning ahead. So thinking 20 years ahead, 30 years ahead, what is the traffic projected to be like? And how do you make sure that you begin to solve those problems now by making sure that there are alternative ways, by making sure that you're constructing and building homes in such a way that people don't have to use a car, and to make sure that you're providing public transportation so that people, again, don't have to use the car, so that we're not clogging up the roads. So we really did a lot of long-term thinking, a lot of long-term planning for decades, 10, 20 years, 30 years ahead. What would life look like? How do we need to make sure we're planning now?
Hi, Mrs. Sade, can you hear us? Your network is breaking. Can you guys hear her?
No, I can't hear her anymore.
Yes.
I can hear her.
Okay. The network is actually breaking.
Really
Yes.
enjoy the work. And then after a while, I was like, well, you know, this was, I don't know how many people here recall, this was back on in Sudan. And I really became interested in development work, in supporting people, helping people who were displaced think through how do we prevent these kind of conflicts, international development. Still hear me?
Yes, we can
Can you
hear
hear
you
me?
now.
Uh-oh. So I'm not sure quite where I dropped off, but I was talking about how I got into the field of international development and my interest in helping displaced communities, in helping to prevent conflict. And so that's how I got into the field of international development. So there was a time where I said, you know what, I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to, and all along the way here, I had mentors who I communicated with, who I discussed things with. This is what my job entails, but this is what I really feel like doing now. How can you help me understand what I need to do? What kinds of courses are out there, or what kinds of fields are out there that I can explore? And so I had people in my life, whether it was a big one was a colleague that I work with and a friend who I could really talk to say, you know, this is what I would like to do. Is that thing possible? What kinds of things can I research? What kind of information can you provide me? What kind of people can you link me up to that I can talk to? So she linked me to her brother at one point, to a friend who had studied urban planning. And so all along the way, I was able to get the information I needed because I was able to have mentors and people in my life that I could reach out to and consult, and they provided me that information. So I ended up studying international development, and long story short, that's how I now got the current job that I have in terms of working in this field, and managing activities and doing the international development work, helping to work with Nigeria at the different levels to really help Nigeria grow and advance in many different ways. So that's sort of my journey in terms of how I got to be how I got to be in the field that I am at. But a lot of what I have achieved, a lot of who I am and where I work would definitely not have been possible without the ability to have people in my life that I could reach out to. So for all of you who are mentors and mentees and the program assistants who are helping with this activity, thank you. I want to continue to encourage you, particularly for the mentees. Speak up, ask questions. You may not even know the question that you want to ask, but you know sort of the feeling inside and the yearning that you have for the kind of work that you want to see yourself doing, or the kind of position that you see yourself. So surround yourself with people that you trust. Surround yourself with people that you can go to. Surround yourself with people who are going to give you information. Whether that is a friend, whether that is a parent, whether that is a coworker, a colleague, whether that is somebody at church, whether that is somebody at the mosque. Surround yourself with people that you can communicate with, people that will check in on you, that will ask questions, that will force you to think, and then be willing to challenge yourself. A lot of times it's not easy, especially when you're not sure what the future is going to be like, especially you're not sure where you're going to get the money perhaps to complete your education, or when you're not sure of what kind of job you should even apply for, or how long you should stay at a job that you're not quite excited about anymore. You're not excited in the morning when you wake up to go to work. So surround yourself as much as you can with people that you can turn to, that can provide you guidance, that can be that can share their experiences that they've already had, share that with you, so that you're not making the same mistakes and you're not going through the same sort of heartaches that they've gone through. So that would be sort of my encouragement to you. And if you have a passion, if you have a drive, go for it. Go for it. You may not succeed the first time, but keep at it and find people around you who can continue to encourage you when you're down, who can continue to motivate you, who can continue to incentivize you. Again, I had different people in my life who have done so many different things for me, from somebody who bought me a bicycle at one point to be able to get around town, from people who that I stayed with during my college years. So just continue to surround yourself with people who can help you, and then continue to also challenge yourself to do more, because I think so many of us can do more than we think we can. And it's when we surround ourselves with people who can motivate us, who can encourage us, that we're able to sort of reach our potential. So those are some of the things I would leave you with. And then happy to take some questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sade. I mean, that was super insightful, and your transition from science to governance is like, ooh, like who would have ever imagined someone that likes, enjoys art, drawing, you know, mathematics, now leading governance with USAID. I mean, it's super inspiring, and for me, I see it as you're challenging the stereotype. You know, you're breaking the bias. You're breaking the bias because in Nigeria, we have seen a lot of men who have the liberty to expand into any field they want, but women are sort of limited because they have to get married, because they have to have kids, because they have to do all of these things. So I'd just like to go into that a little bit, just to ask you before we take questions. How do you manage family with work, and how are you able to manage family with the transitioning, you know, between your previous field now into governance with international organization?
So how am I able to manage family with work? So I'm not married and I don't have children. So for me, I think I have a different experience than those who do have sort of a family, who do have children to take care of, who do have a husband at home, or who have wives at home. So for me, it's a little bit of a different experience. But in everything, I think you just have to prioritize in life, right? So your days are going to be full. You're going to be pulled in many different directions. But there are some things that you might have to give up. Whether it's you give up time for yourself, which I hope you don't do too much of, because you also need to rejuvenate yourself. Whether it's you give up some things and postpone them for down the road. Whether it's you say, you know what, I can't take on too many things, and you're very selective in what you commit to. You have to just prioritize. And prioritizing might mean that you give some things up. Prioritizing might mean that you say no. A lot of times we women are not very good at saying no. Prioritizing might also sometimes mean that some days you sleep only for 4 hours because you're trying to do so many things. Prioritizing also means you find ways to just maybe do things in a smarter way. So maybe supporting somebody to do something, but not doing it for them, or maybe providing a lot of times friends will ask me to review something, and I can either review it where I go line by line and I provide a lot of line edits, or I can review it, I read it, and I just give an overview comment. So you have to figure out at different times in your life, how can I, what do I want to prioritize? What do I want to make sure I do? And then what is it that I have to forego and not do completely, say no to? Or what do you do in a way that you do it, but you don't spend so much time on it? So I think and that transition in terms of the different types of work that you do. I think there was a time in my life where I was really sort of struggling with, what do I want to do? What brings me joy? What brings me fulfillment? Because I've always told myself, when I wake up in the morning and I'm not excited about the work that I'm going to, it's time for me to look for a different job. So I struggled for a while there, really trying to wonder in my life, what am I destined to do? What is my calling on this earth? And for me, I'm a woman of faith. So for me, it's also important to make sure that I feel like I am doing what it is that I'm designated on this earth to do in a spiritual way. So it's taking some time, reading, talking to people, talking to mentors, talking to family, talking to people who are doing things that you see yourself doing, and asking them, how did they get there? And then just taking a leap of faith. Sometimes it just takes a leap of faith. You're not sure if what you're doing is going to land you where you want to go, but you just have to take a leap of faith. And then if it doesn't work out, then you know how to pivot and do something different and try something different. But and a lot of times you just have to go for it. You just have to take a leap of faith.
Yeah, I mean, yes, like those points are very valid. I know you have another call for 4 o'clock, and we're already like behind schedule. So you actually answered a couple of questions that's been dropped on the chat box. But I have another question on the chat box. What has been your biggest challenge, working in the development space? And how were you able to overcome it? I think we need to also know how you're overcoming or how you overcame that challenge.
And maybe let me go back to question 1 real quick. What are your
advice for someone changing career path?
Career path. I think one is just don't be too quick to leave where you're at. I remember as I was going from the engineering and going into urban planning, I really didn't like the work that I was doing anymore, but I stuck with it because I wanted to make sure that I had secured another job before I left the current job. So that was one, is just don't be too quick. Make sure you sort of have a plan in place for you to make that shift. Another, in terms of career path, is switching and going from the consultancy, the transportation and housing consultancy that I was doing, to international development. As I said, it was a struggle in terms of, what do I want to do? How do I want to make myself useful in life? Some of it is reading. Try to just gain as much knowledge as you can from reading, from talking to people, from asking questions, from thinking about what kind of thing do you want to do? And then figuring out what kind of path will get you to doing that thing. It might mean going back to school. It might mean just making a small shift. It might mean just taking on a different kind of job or different kind of work. So you kind of have to do, I think, a little bit of introspection and really think about what is it you want to see yourself doing, and then figure out how do I get there. And again, you surround yourself with people that can guide you and lead you. And then so for question number 2, what has been your biggest challenge working in the development space? One of the things I always say in the development space is we don't have time to think. Sometimes you're always on the go, you're always moving from one thing to the other. We really struggle and really have to intentionally make time to sort of take a step back and think, how are we doing with what we're doing? Are we moving the right direction? Are we attaining the goals and the results that we plan to attain? And if we're not, how do we pivot? How do we maybe change what we're doing? How do we change our approach? And in what direction then do we want to go? So I think for me, it's making sure that you are, that we as an organization and as for the work that my office does, really being intentional about making sure that we take time out to check what we're doing, to make sure that it's still what we intended to do, and that we're not just doing something because we started it, to make sure that as we're doing it, we make sure that it's making sense. What we're doing is making sense. So I think for me, that's one of the biggest challenges. It's time to take a step back and to think about what we're doing. That's a big challenge because there's always so much to do.
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Sade. Again, I would have loved that you stay longer on the call, but I understand that you have another meeting for 4, and this is 10 minutes beyond 4 o'clock. So I'll just if we have our mentors or mentees have any questions, we're going to direct them to your emails, and then we'll get your response and send to them. However, I'll just like you to give your closing statement to our young girls and our mentors on this call, myself, to inspire us with the great work you're doing. Thank you.
Okay, I wrote something down, and
nice.
Let's see. Trying to, I think for me, one of the things I would sort of inspire you with, if I could, is to, see what you want to be and be what you want to see. Seek out opportunities to see what you want to be. What is it that you want to be? What is your contribution to the world? Make sure you put yourself in spaces where you can see that, where people can demonstrate to you what you want to be. And then be what you see. try to figure out how you can then become a part of that story. And you might have to start from the ground and work your way up. You might have to start from something else that's related, but not directly. But I think that's what I would leave you with, is really make sure you put yourself in positions where you can see what you want to be. So surround yourself, put yourself in the right location, surround yourself with people who can demonstrate that to you. Try to get yourself into the spaces where you can see what it is that you want to be. So if you want to be a journalist, make sure that you are listening to the news and looking at the different ways in which people are reporting the news. So it's not just the news anchor, the person who is reading the news, it's also all the people in the background, people who are doing the research, people who are doing the lighting, people who are doing the room design, people who are taking the pictures, people who are doing the online platform, journalists who are stationed in different countries around the world, who are the point of contact in that region of the world. So make sure that you see the full spectrum of what it is that you want to be. So when you say you want to be in journalism, what kind of journalism? Is it photojournalism? Is it doing a blog? Is it, having a YouTube channel? Is it, there's so many ways in which you can practice journalism. So for me, it is taking time to understand what it is that you want to do and who you want to be, and then placing yourself where you can see examples of that being done, because that'll really help teach you and validate if what you are thinking is what you really want to do. And then putting yourself in a position to be what you see, take internships, take jobs that are maybe not the best paying, but offer you the experience. Take a risk, and if you're from Bauchi, take the risk of traveling to the south. If you're from the south, if you're from Lagos, take the risk of going up to Kano, if that's where the job is. Take a risk, go for it. And then again, as always, surround yourself with people who can mentor you, people who you are free to go to, who are not going to say, who are not going to look down on you, who are not going to say a question is a stupid question, who are just going to be there to support you, to guide you. I think those are some of the things I would leave you with. So
beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us, sharing your knowledge. It means a lot. And I'd like to ask, if you don't mind, we're going to be sharing this session on YouTube so that our mentors and our mentees can make future reference to it. I don't know if it's fine by you.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So now, before you go, we're going to take a quick picture with you, and we hope that we have you some other time at Gallup Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time. So guys, let's open up our cameras so that we can take a quick picture with Miss Sade before she leaves. You can unmute your video. Unmute your video. I can see Odun Ayola. I can see Azizat. I'm waiting for Nana, Olalade, Sarah, Deborah, Esther, Uche. Okay, I can see you guys. I can't see Miss Sade again. I can't see your video. All right, so I guess we're all ready. Miss Sade, your video, I can't see it.
Oh, it's on. Nobody see my video?
Not yet, it's blank. Okay, yes, it's good now. Okay, so 1, 2, say cheese. Or we say USAID, whichever one. So just say something. Ololade, stable your camera. Okay, so thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, everybody. We've taken the picture.
Huh.
So we're going to share the link. We're going to share the link to the video on YouTube with you all. You can always jump at it.
Is it clear now?
Yes, 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 yes. All right. Thank you so much, Maria. I appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
You're very
We're going
welcome.
to share
Thanks.
the link. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you
Have a good
so
day.
much.